the American War for Independence when colonists began to turn their backs on their safety. From tea parties to burning boats and stealing cannons, the law was ignored time and time again. The British were at a loss for how to stop their barbarism. Nothing would stop them. Troops, laws, bloodshed.
We cannot continue fighting such horrible battles with the colonies.
I agree. It's just not worth it for us to waste our troops fighting the Indians in America.
We can only protect them on so much land. The rest, I say, is not our responsibility.
How about if they only travel so far west? Now, any further onward is forbidden. And then, if they go past that limit, they're no longer our responsibility.
You need to pay this bill right now. You're so cheap. Hand over the money right now.
I'm sure this is just one big misunderstanding.
No, it's not a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
It keeps happening.
You guys, just stop it. Stop. You guys need to calm down. You need to calm down.
April evening, the British Army set out to confiscate weapons and gunpowder from rebels who were at a high risk for starting an attack. To keep the peace, it was determined that taking these things from the rebels would be the best option. They were stopped in their tracks by more rebels. They were armed and ready to attack. Fighting broke out, and the British retreated back to Boston. The way home brought cowardly attacks from behind bushes and trees.
What is your name?
Paul Revere,
How old are you?
46.
Where are you from?
I'm from Boston and still live here.
You had a large part in the war, correct?
Yes, I was an influential person in getting it started.
Do you feel you tricked people in order to push your agenda?
Definitely not. I showed them the side of the story England didn't want to show.
And don't you feel that you gave any misinformation to the people who were unable to find the truth for themselves?
I simply let them see both sides.
You had published a photo in your perspective on the incident on King Street, an event you did not attend. And those who were there seemed to have seen something different. Any thoughts on that?
The image might not have been completely technically accurate, but it showed the idea of the massacre.
You were captured rather quickly on your midnight ride. You are still the most publicized figure in the incident on this side of the rebels. Is this fair?
I was an influential figure in the war. They wanted to be known that recognizable people were on the side of America.
You're a silversmith, not a trained military officer. Why did you believe you deserved such an important place in the war?
I was willing to fight for independence.
Do you ever feel that you regret the United States gaining their independence?
Never.
Interesting.
Buy my tea, buy my tea. So
No.
really low.
We already have tea.
Boston had been a problem for a long time. Something about the city created the perfect environment for rebel ideas to grow and spread. The king took it for as long as he could, but they reached his breaking point. After the Tea Party in Boston, it was clear that some special attention was needed. Laws were passed specifically for them because it was obvious they were unable to function in the society that they had been permitted to have. The harbor was closed. British loyalists were placed in positions of power, and royal officials accused of crimes would be given trial somewhere other than Massachusetts in order to ensure a fair trial. Additionally, an act was passed for all the colonies. Troops were to be housed in unoccupied buildings.
I spent the beginning of the war on the side of the rebels. Their promises seemed desirable, and I was persuaded by the empty assurances. I soon realized what they promised was not what they looked to achieve. They were selfish, rebelling against those very people who kept them safe. They didn't let me lead over George Washington, so I had no choice. I turned to the British side because I wanted to fight for what was right, and not for selfish satisfaction that would only last a moment.
Look at all those ships in the harbor.
Holy sugar, I hope we're not under attack.
Are they all here for us?
Oh my goodness. That is a boat.
What is your name?
Charles Cornwallis,
How old are you?
43.
And what side of the war were you on?
The king's side, naturally.
And you stand by your choice to fight with the crown?
Yes, I fought for the king and not for those who turned against him for a selfish reason. And if given the chance to go back, I'd do it time and time again.
Do you feel the outcome of Yorktown could have been different?
Definitely. The rebels winning the war was a 1 in a million chance, and it so happened that that time was the one.
In your opinion, could the war have continued after Yorktown?
I believe so. Yorktown was a defeat for sure, but it did not have to be the end all. With a little reinforcement, we could have easily come back and devastated them.
How could you have prevented the defeat at Yorktown?
The easiest answer would be if the rebels had fought their own war and not relied on the French. Honestly, it was a defeat by the French, not the rebels.
But even with the French help, could you have won Yorktown?
Yes, Howe was trapped in New York, and with his help, or with the help of some British regulars, or the notification of French arrival, we would have been victorious.
And finally, do you think that the world turned upside down after your loss?
No, perhaps things did change, but wars have been fought and won and lost for as long as anyone can look back. This was just another war.
Saratoga, an incident that could have easily been won. The plan. Sir William Howe would come north from New Jersey and New York City. General John Burgoyne would travel south through the Hudson River Valley and group in Albany. This was not how the events played out. Sir Howe was sidetracked in Philadelphia and never continued onward. General Burgoyne moved slowly and unknowingly gave the rebels time to sort themselves out under Horatio Gates and Benedict Arnold. On the first attack, Burgoyne instigated. There was a small but important win. When he attacked again, however, his troops had been weakened and were unable to defeat the rebel forces. Had Saratoga worked out how it had been planned, New England would have been isolated from the remainder of the colonies, cutting off their infectious ideas from the rest of the colonies. Had Saratoga worked the way it should have, the ideas that come from a problem in Boston would not have spread like wildfire, or the plague. And New England would have been dealt with at a later time, with the rest of the American colonies had been controlled.
Go ahead.
Sir, you need to pill this.
One big misunderstanding.
Sure.
Am I shadowing this?
Just shut up.
Nobody cares.
All right, 3, 2.
I agree. It isn't worth it to waste our troops on fighting the Indians in America. Nailed it.
All right.
Well, is Adam in the shot?
And it also
No.
it is also closer. We can only protect them on land.
Okay.
We cannot continue fighting such horrible baddies.
Go.
I'm so sorry.
Ron, stop. We have to be at rehearsal in 6 minutes. Let's get this scene.
We'll get.
Sorry, there's hair on me.
Are those all British ships out there?
I hope we're not under attack.